Solving quadratic equations. Solving a quadratic equation simply means to determine the roots, the zero solutions, or x-intercepts. All those terms mean the same thing. We are trying to define where the parabola crosses the x-axis. In this example, we can see it crosses at -4 and at 2. So these are our two roots. To prove that these roots are the solutions to this equation, let's plug in -4. Let's make sure we use parentheses to square it. -4 everywhere we have an x. We square -4, that gives us 16. We multiply, we get -8, another -8. We can see that when we add 16 and these two -8s, we get 0. So indeed, that is a root. Now let's test the second root at 2. We plug in 2 for our x. Use order of operations. Let's evaluate. We get 4 plus 4 minus 8 equals 0. Indeed, we get, here we have 8 minus 8. We get our true statement of 0 equals 0. So now, here are some strategies for solving. Solve by factoring, which we've done the past couple of weeks. Solve by square root method, completing the square using quadratic formula, and graphing. Today we will be reviewing factoring, and we will also learn to solve by square root method. We can solve by greatest common factors, snappy factors, grouping, and magic X. Here we have a greatest common factor of 8 and an x, and then we have x left in the first term, and we have 2 left in the second one. We will set the 8x equal to 0, and we will set x plus 2 equal to 0. Divide each side by the 8, and 1 intercept is 0. We will subtract 2, and the other root is going to give us a -2. So this quadratic crosses at 0 and -2. Here we can use snappy factors. Let's factor the x squared into x times x. We're trying to think of two factors that give us -21 but add up to give us a +4. So that is going to be a +7 and a -3. We will set each of these expressions equal to 0, and then we will solve, and we will subtract 7 and get -7. We will add 3 and get +3. So -7 and 3 are our roots. On this one, we are going to solve by grouping. We can group these two terms and these two terms. We are going to factor out an x squared. That leaves me with x plus 7. Let's factor out a -2 here, and that leaves us x plus 7, all equal to 0. We will put the things we factored out together, and then the common factor of x plus 7. We will set each of those equal to 0. So let's go ahead and do this one. That's going to give me a -7. Here we are going to have x squared equal to a +2. We will take the square root, and when we take the square root, make sure you take a positive and negative. Our other root is positive and negative square root 2. Here we have the magic X. We're going to multiply, since this is not 1, we're going to multiply the A times the C, and we get 12. We will put our B down below. So the two factors of 12 that add up to -13 is going to be a -12 and a -1. We take the A part and we put it as the denominator of our two numbers. We simplify this. 1 over -4, and the bottom numbers are our x terms. The top numbers are your constants. So here we have a 3x minus 1 equal to 0. Make that a little bit neater. Set each of those, whoops, well, I went ahead and solved it. So x equals 4 here. This one I will work out a little bit since it has 2 steps. We will have 3x equals positive 1. We will divide by 3, and our other root is x is equal to 1 over 3. So 4 and 1/3 are the two roots. Oops. So now, solve by square root. You notice here in our first one, all we have is a square term. So we're just going to take the square root, and when we take the square root, it's going to be a positive and negative. So our two roots are a positive 11 and a negative 11. On this one, we need to subtract the 8. Before we take the square root, we get c squared equals, that looks like 36. Take the square root, positive and negative, and our two roots are a positive 6 and a negative 6. Here, let's add 5 to both sides, and we get 75. And then I'm recording, and then we get k squared equals 25. We take the positive and negative, and our two roots are 5 and negative 5. On this one, we notice this whole expression is squared, so we have to take the square root of this entire expression, and then we take the square root of positive negative 196. Now we simply have 2x plus 4 is equal to positive and negative 14. We are going to subtract 4, and we have to be really careful here. So we are going to have 2x. So we have 14, positive 14 minus 4. That's going to give us a 10. Then we also have negative 14 and negative 4, and that gives us negative 18. Then let's go back to this first one, finish it out. So one root is 5, and then we will divide this one by 2, and the other root is going to be negative 9. Let's take a look at a couple more. Here, we simply just have to take the square root of both sides. This is going to be positive and negative again. Notice that 50 is not a perfect square. The two factors that I would use are going to be 25 and 2. So we have positive and negative 5 root 2. Here we're going to add 4 to both sides. That gives us 24. We're going to take the square root, so positive and negative square root of 24. So our two roots, 24 breaks down into 4 times 6. 4 is perfect. So positive and negative 2 root 6. Let's take a look at a couple more. Number 7, we are going to subtract 8 first. That looks like that gives us 48. We're going to divide by 2. And we have m squared is equal to, looks like 24. Take the square root of both sides. This is like the previous one. So my solutions are positive and negative 2 root 6. Here, this whole expression is raised to the second power, so we're going to have to take the square root of the whole thing. So we're going to have 4x minus 2 equals to positive and negative square root of 20. We're going to have to simplify this into 4 times 5. That gives me positive or negative 2 root 5. Bring this down. Add 2 to both sides, and I'm always going to show this part because I have two things going on here. 4 times x equals, so it's 2 plus 2, so 4 roots of 5. And then I have 2 minus 2, so 0 roots of 5. Then we will divide by 4. So if we have 2 minus 2, that's just going to be 0. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So this is going to give me just 0. So I'm going to have one root's going to be 0. The other one is going to be, these will divide out, and I'm left with the square root of 5. So we have square root of 5 and 0. Let's do 2 more and we will be finished. Add 2 to both sides. Whoops, sorry about that. That gives me 60. I'm going to divide by 3. That gives me 20. We're going to take the square root. Again, 4 and 5. So we're going to have, our roots are going to be positive and negative 2 root 5. On this one, we have to take the square root of the entire expression. And that gives me 3x plus 6 equals, this breaks down into 9 times 5. So we have positive and negative. The square root of 9 is 3 roots of 5 minus 6 minus 6. Oops, get off my board here. 3x equals, okay, real careful, 3 plus negative 6 is negative 3 square roots of 5. And then let me just go ahead and finish this one out. So 1 root is negative 1 square root of 5. Then I have here, I had 3, negative 3 minus 6. That gives me negative 9 square root of 5. And we have to divide it by the 3. And then that gives me negative 3 roots of 5. So these are the 2 roots. And tomorrow we will learn to solve by completing the square.